We've got to get the support of the people of Pakistan. He said that he would launch military strikes into Pakistan. Now, you don't do that. You don't say that out loud.
John, you're absolutely right that presidents have to be prudent in what they say. But, coming from you, who, in the past have threatened extinction for North Korea and, sung songs about bombing Iran, I don't know, how credible that is.
Obama campaign spokesman Bill Burton joins us from Chicago. And, Bill, was that an effort to try to get under John McCain's skin?
No, of course not. It's an effort to make sure that voters know the truth about the differences in these positions. What John McCain talks about, oh, you can't talk about that. It's not prudent. Well, if you're going after some of the terrorists who want to kill Americans, you do it in every way you can, and you don't take those options off the table if you're president of the United States. And when it's clear that the White House is participating in this exact thing, it seems like John McCain is out of touch when it comes to what's actually happening in the world.
It does seem like the challenge for Barack Obama last night is that a lot more Americans seem to sort of know John McCain as sort of a maverick than maybe they know anything in particular about Barack Obama. And that seemed to be illustrated pretty well when there was John McCain and Barack Obama talking about President Bush and whether John McCain is just like President Bush. Let's start with the clip of Barack Obama talking about that and then John McCain's response. Watch.
John, it's been your president who you said you agreed with 90% of the time who presided over this increase in spending, this orgy of spending, and enormous deficits. And you voted for almost all of his budgets.
I have opposed the president on spending, on climate change, on torture of prisoners, on Guantanamo Bay, on the way that the Iraq War was conducted. I have a long record.
And given, Bill, that he does have a long record, is this sort of an uphill battle then for Barack Obama to try to say, oh, you're just like George W. Bush?
Well, part of what campaigns are about is making sure that voters have the facts about who John McCain is and who Barack Obama is. And when you're John McCain and you've got a long record of supporting President Bush, we're going to make sure that folks know that. Because you can't say that you're a maverick and then walk in lockstep with George Bush on 90% of the issues. And he went through that litany of things, but when the rubber meets the road, where do you vote? And for John McCain, it's voting with President Bush 90% of the time. So we're going to continue to talk about the fact that, well, John McCain has been in lockstep with his party. Barack Obama has been on the campaign trail talking about the fundamental change that he's going to bring to Washington on the economy, on foreign policy, and the things that matter.
And, Bill, as you know, while the Obama campaign wants to say that Barack Obama won and the McCain campaign says that, no, John McCain won, most of the analysts say it was something of a draw. Are you satisfied with that?
What we're satisfied is with, even though the pundits are split, the American people have decided, if you look at any of the independent polls or focus groups that were done, it's clear that by large margins, people thought that Senator Obama did a better job up on the debate stage, especially on the issue of the economy, but also on the issue of foreign policy. So we feel great about how it went. Senator Obama's out there talking about it today. John McCain, I know, is still on the campaign trail, though, in Washington, D.C., where, again, there's this sort of phony work on the bailout package. I don't know if you just saw the recent report, but John McCain apparently isn't even on Capitol Hill right now. He's at his campaign office. So I think that people probably question why he didn't even go up to Capitol Hill if he's in Washington to actually do some of the work that he told people he was doing.
Yeah, but Bill, the
yes,
Democrats
we are absolutely satisfied.
Bill, the Democrats can't have it both ways. I mean, Barney Frank didn't want him on Capitol Hill and said, don't come back to Capitol Hill, you're interfering. So now John McCain is satisfied they're making enough progress without him and he's staying in his office. What's wrong with that?
I don't know that rhetoric that John McCain has about what he's doing about the bailout package matches what he's doing back at the campaign office. I guess he's on the phone or something. But, you know, Senator Obama's out on the campaign trail. He's talking to voters. He's been calling Secretary Paulson, Nancy Pelosi, Harry Reid, Republicans in Congress to help try to make sure we've got a plan that moves forward here.
All right, Bill Burton. Bill, thanks for coming on. We appreciate it as always. Bill Burton, Obama campaign spokesman.
Hey, thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Now, joining us from Arlington, Virginia, Nancy Fartenhower, senior policy advisor to the McCain campaign. And Nancy, let's pick up on that point. What is John McCain doing right now, and why is he staying at his office as opposed to going on Capitol Hill and participating in these negotiations?
Well, David, I think you had it right when you pointed out that the Democrats or Obama can't have it both ways. Senator McCain is doing precisely what he has learned over his career is the way you get to bipartisan, bicameral, or both houses of Congress together on a contentious issue. He is staying behind the scenes, but he is working very hard to help build bridges between parties that have a lot in common but have some distinct differences. And obviously, the big thing that was discovered over the last couple of days is there was no deal. The House Republicans were not being represented. And so what he has tried to do is bring people together and quietly help build bridges. But he is not trying to ram his proposal that he rolled out more than a week ago down anybody's throat. He's just trying to do what he has done before successfully on very contentious issues and managed to get bipartisan support for bills that became law. And he knows what he's doing. He's got the track record to prove it. And maybe Senator Obama doesn't understand it, but this is how you get things done.
Nancy, as far as the debate last night, just about all the analysts that we've talked to said it was essentially a draw. But on that point, Bill is right. There are a number of these sort of polls suggesting that at least the snap judgment was that Barack Obama fared a little bit better. What's your response?
Well, that might have been partially reflecting expectations. Obviously, we believe that Senator McCain just hit it out of the park, particularly, David, since he wasn't prepping and studying his lines like Obama was at debate camp in Florida. He was here doing the people's business right up to the last second. And what the American people saw is he could walk off the plane, walk onto that stage. And this is a man who it's not studied. It's not lines he's delivering. He knows history. He knows policy. He's got a plan for the future. And he knows himself. And that's what comes across. I think Senator Obama has a very pleasant demeanor. He obviously he's very articulate, and all of those things come across as well. But it's substance versus style, and in that contest, John McCain wins.
Nancy, since you mentioned that John McCain does know history, I want to play something that he said last night about Pakistan and ask you if the McCain campaign still stands behind it. Watch.
There was a failed state in Pakistan when Musharraf came to power. Everybody who was around then and had been there and knew about it knew that it was a failed state.
Nancy, it was a democratically elected sort of leader, and Musharraf took over in a military coup. So is John McCain, what does he mean when he says failed state?
Well, David, you're off my area of expertise, so I honestly couldn't answer that. I'm the domestic policy front, not the foreign policy front. But so I'm sorry, it's just not my field.
All right, fair enough, Nancy. We appreciate that. Now, as far as looking ahead, a lot of people were wondering why Joe Biden was out there last night and Sarah Palin was not. As far as talking with the networks afterwards, where was Sarah Palin, and how come she didn't participate in terms of bolstering John McCain's performance last night?
I think she was at a debate-watching party, and I think she was working with supporters and things like that, and she didn't need to be there, frankly. Senator McCain could clearly carry this ball himself. She's got her own ball to carry coming up in the week ahead, and I think it's going to be a fascinating debate. We were talking about it internally, and Joe Biden versus Governor Palin. I was saying if it's a war of words, then she's going to be fighting to get one in edgewise, but if it's a battle of wits, I like her chances. So this ought to be a fun one to watch.
And Nancy, just to be clear, there are a lot of rumblings in Washington, and I don't think most of them are true, but as far as a debate prep, is everything going okay with Sarah Palin in terms of her performance in these practice sessions?
Well, you know what? I haven't participated in them, but I've heard absolutely nothing negative. I assume that Governor Palin, who has racked together such a tremendous record of reform in such a short period of time as a governor, would have no problem preparing for this debate. But certainly, Joe Biden has been out on the national scene for a number of decades, and so I always say that the bottom of our ticket is more well qualified than the top of their ticket. But certainly, Senator Biden is very conversant in across many areas of expertise, particularly foreign policy, and I expect that to be on display at the debate.
Nancy Fartenhower, Senior Policy Advisor for the McCain campaign. Nancy, thanks for coming on this weekend. We appreciate it.
Thanks, David. I appreciate it. Have a good one.